It's almost Christmas, so it's time to get excited for it, and part of getting excited for Christmas is the advent calendars. As a LEGO fan, this personally means that I get LEGO advent calendars, which are quite a varied thing for people on how good they are. As well as each year, some years are better than others, but I think that my personal opinion on them is quite different to some other people. So the other day I was watching a video from hollyonfilm. Go check her out, she's an amazing LEGO YouTuber. But she did a video recently talking about LEGO advent calendars and what she likes from them, as well as what the general idea of an advent calendar should be. And I think she does a pretty good job summarizing her thoughts and opinions. But personally, for me, I quite like a different style. So for her, she said she wants a lot of new prints and new pieces and new kind of festive things. So she really likes it in the Marvel calendars when they get Christmas sweaters and Christmas jumpers, and in the Star Wars calendars when she had the snowman X-wing pilot, as well as like in Harry Potter they did the Yule Ball for Christmas, for like an entire theme of one advent calendar. And to that I can say fair enough for the Yule Ball, because it does kind of make sense for Harry Potter in general. You can use that outside of Christmas settings. But for me personally, I do think that the Christmas stuff is fun. I do really like it when they like come out with a fun little Christmas sweater or a fun little just random thing for Christmas, like the TIE Fighter pilot. But one thing that I don't really like is when the LEGO advent calendars are fully Christmas, if that makes sense. Like imagine wanting your Christmas calendar to involve Christmas stuff. I know that does make me sound like a bit of a Scrooge, but personally I think the advent calendar is so much better when they don't focus too much on specifically Christmas things. Now, with LEGO City and LEGO Friends, it does make sense that they do Christmas stuff, because we don't get much Christmas stuff throughout the year. Obviously, we get the big Santa's workshops and the Christmas trains and all of that stuff, which is good if you like that stuff. But again, I feel like you can only really use it for that time of year. But for like general Christmas stuff, I think it is best to keep it specific for the sets. If you want a Christmas set, go and get one. So I don't mind it too much, as I said, with the City ones, because they are designed for LEGO City Christmas. Like it does make sense in them situations, as well as the Yule Ball, because that can be used for Christmas as well as just general Harry Potter displays. But for things like Star Wars and the Marvel advent calendars that we've had for Guardians of the Galaxy and Avengers, I just don't really like them. I do like the advent calendars, don't get me wrong. I will probably get a Christmas calendar every year because it's fun to count down in LEGO the days to Christmas. But I feel like having so much Christmas stuff means that you can only really use it up until Christmas Day, and maybe up until like New Year's. Like after that, what are you doing with a Christmas Rudolph reindeer R2D2 thing? It's fun, don't get me wrong. I really like the pieces that they include and the fun variants of minifigures that we get. But I feel like because they're Christmas, they are so limited in their applications. So I do like it when we get new versions of minifigures. So we had a Spider-Man minifigure last year with like a yellow jumper or like a yellow hoodie. And although it wasn't exact, it did kind of remind me of the Homecoming Spider-Man with like the yellow jacket thing. So that is a good figure that is usable outside of Christmas, but still kind of Christmas themed. But then we have like the Iron Man with a Christmas sweater. It was a fun figure, don't get me wrong, and it did get me hyped for Christmas, but I can't use that outside of Christmas now. I can use pieces, I can use a helmet and the legs and Tony Stark's head, but if I didn't have an Iron Man before, I do, because they include them in every set that they can. But if that was the only set that you got with Iron Man, you're going to be kind of disappointed that you can only use Iron Man when it's Christmas. Don't get me wrong, I do really like the Christmas stuff for things that make sense. So like an occasional Christmas tree is quite fun, different builds. This year we got like a Groot Christmas tree, which I think is quite fun, quite playful, and is done very close to Christmas. I think my main issue is the ordering of things. So I think the amount of Christmas specific things should be one minifigure and like 5 builds for Christmas, just to get you hyped, but also meaning that other stuff can be usable outside of that. So for the Star Wars ones, I know a lot of people don't like them, and that is kind of fair enough, is the micro builds of spaceships. Like, they're not amazing. Many people do prefer just the spaceship itself, but I feel like if you were to do like a battle wall, which is kind of fair enough as to why you wouldn't like the spaceships, but I think Star Wars itself has an issue with just including spaceships into every set that they can, because people apparently like them. I personally, as well as plenty of other people, like location sets, but you know, I don't think that's going to change anytime soon as to when we get more location sets rather than spaceships, because we get so many remakes. But, like, on a personal level, I quite like it when things can be used Christmassy. So, I swear one year we had, like, a turret for Star Wars. It was like a snow turret, which is a fun Christmas item, but it can also be used outside of that setting as just a regular turret, covered in like an Arctic area, such as Hoth. But for the Avengers calendar, we had Black Widow for one of the minifigures, and it was one of the only non-Christmas ones that we had, I think. In fact, I think it was the only non-Christmas minifigure that we had. Although she did have her accessories, the minifigure itself was completely Christmas free. And I thought that was so good for people that don't have Black Widow. Thor, he was a good figure, but he had the scarf, like, although you can just take the scarf away. So Thor, again, was a good figure because you can use him as just Thor, but you can also have him festive. But like Iron Man, we could have had just a cool new suit rather than a Christmas suit. You know, it does kind of make it so you can only use stuff at that time of year. I think having stuff like on day 24 and day 1 Christmassy could be quite fun, but I would love it if they did more advent calendars where you build like a good thing up over a couple of days. So like 5 days are spent building like this mini fortress or something. That would be amazing. I would absolutely love that. I've just thought of another fun one that they could do, where they do a big fig at the end of like a big advent calendar. So like day 24 is like a big Hulk figure. Then maybe do it a Christmas version, because you know it's day 24. Get quite excited, get a big thing from it. And that just reminded me that they could do a 25-day advent calendar, and day 25 is like quite a big one. So it's like still not overly massive, but quite a big door with quite a big thing in it. Be quite fun. Yeah, I don't really know where I'm going at this point. I think I've said everything that I needed to. The main points are that I prefer the Christmas stuff to be kept limited. Still include them, because I do feel like it does get me hyped for Christmas, but they are so limited in their use for only Christmas time that you can't really use them outside of it. Which devalues it for me. I know a lot of people really like the exclusive prints and things, but I think the worst thing, and one of the things that inspired the video outside of Holly on film, was the Drax minifigure from this year. It's a really good advent calendar. The Groot and the Rocket are really useful, as well as the Star-Lord. So 3 figures that you can use outside of Christmas. But Drax and Nebula, right, I don't have either of those figures. I forgot about Mantis. She is also included in a non-Christmas variant. But Drax and Mantis, right? I don't have either of those figures. I'm now not going to be able to get a green Drax at all, because they haven't done a fully green Drax figure. They've done the head for this minifigure, but they haven't got the torso or the legs. So I'm now left with a green Drax head that I can't use on anything other than this one Christmas version. Like, what am I meant to do with that? I think this is one of the worst times where they've done like a Christmas version, because you can't use it outside of that. They've given us this new print, this new version of a figure that lots of people have wanted, because there's the argument about if Drax is green or red, green or grey, and we've finally gotten this grey version, but this green version, but we can't actually use it for a Guardians of the Galaxy display because we've got no torso. Like, what are we meant to do with that now? So yeah, it's I understand where people are coming from, where they really want these Christmas versions of things, but also I want to be able to use my stuff outside of the 25 to 30 day time period of it being like quite festive and Christmassy, you know? Don't want to sound like a bar humbug, but I want to use my shit outside of that. I want to be able to set up a cool display with my advent calendar gifts and not have it be Christmas. I think that is all I'm going to really say, because I don't really understand the process of the minifigure, the process of selecting minifigures to make Christmassy, or why they specifically add certain minifigures on certain days or anything like that. But personally for me, I quite like to be able to use my stuff outside of the Christmas setting. Having Christmas versions of minifigures isn't necessarily bad, as long as it's not like a new version of a minifigure, such as the Green Drax. Obviously, it will be a new version of a minifigure, but because it's a festive version, not because it's a festive version of a new minifigure, if that made sense. Like, the Guardians of the Galaxy advent calendar has quite a few things I can use outside of the Christmas setting, mini builds, and that small spaceship being really high up on that list. But like, outside of that, how am I going to use a Christmas Nebula in my Avengers Endgame setup? You know, it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work, Lego. Yeah, advent calendars as a whole are really fun. I really enjoy the ones that we've gotten. Just as a personal thing to improve them would be to let me use the stuff all year round, with a couple of Christmas things for... Let me use the stuff all year round, with a couple of Christmas things to get me hyped, you know, day 24 especially, have a exclusive minifigure. But other than that, why have these exclusive versions of minifigures? It's fun. It does mean that you can say, oh, this is exclusive minifigure, buy it now. But also, I can't use it outside of Christmas. Thank you. And good night, or something. I don't know. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to leave a like, subscribe, all of that usual stuff. If you did, feel free to leave... No. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, subscribe, all of that usual stuff. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching, and bye.